Hi everyone, it's Wednesday. Welcome back to our daily Clues by Sam. We have a tricky one today. I'm really excited. And if you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it's a daily puzzle game where you have 20 people. Each of them may be a criminal or an innocent and give you clues to help you figure out what each person is. Like I said, it is daily and it changes difficulty from the start of the week to the weekend. And we are here doing this every day. If you want to do it as well, there is a link in the description. And if you want to follow along with me, or maybe you need some help, then I'm going to start right now and try to explain my logic. Let's go. We start with Gabe telling us that exactly two criminals between Alice and Eric. Well, there's only two people between Alice and Eric, so both of them have to be criminals. That's easy. We don't need Gabe's clue anymore. Now, Barb tells us that only one of the three innocents neighboring him, or her, it's Barb, is Gabe's neighbor. There's two people neighboring Barb who neighbor Gabe. Only one of them is an innocent. Gabe is also one of Barb's neighbors, and they're an innocent. So that means that the third innocent that neighbors Barb has to be Isaac. And now Isaac tells us that Karen is one of Maria's four innocent neighbors. Karen's an innocent then. Maria already has three innocent neighbors, so she's going to have only one more. And Karen now tells us that all criminals in column B are connected. Well. That's interesting. That's a very interesting configuration because let's say that Maria has only one last innocent neighbor, right? Let's say that that's Hazel. That breaks Maria already because all criminals in column B are connected. And in this situation, Ruby would have to be an innocent to comply with Karen's rule, but that will break Maria's total because Maria would have 5 innocent neighbors. But if Ruby were a criminal, then that will break Karen's clue. So there's no way for Hazel to be an innocent. Ruby can still be an innocent, so we don't know about that. Now Hazel doesn't give us a new clue, but Alice does. Exactly one innocent in column A is neighboring Karen. Column A is here. Karen is in column A, and they already have an innocent neighboring them. And column A, that's Gabe. So Phil couldn't be a second innocent. That makes him a criminal. Now we don't need Alice's clue anymore, and Phil tells there is only one criminal in row 2. Well, that criminal is Hazel, so that means that Joy, who's also in row 2, is an innocent. We don't need Phil's clue anymore. Now Joy tells us that only one person in a corner has exactly one criminal neighbor. Alice is not a person. Eric is. Eric has one criminal neighbor only, and he has no more neighbors to reveal. So that means that Vince has to have at least one more criminal neighbor. And it couldn't be Wally. Because if Wally... Well, it could be Wally. It could be that both Wally and Ruby are criminals. But could it be that Ruby is an innocent and Wally is a criminal? Nope, that couldn't be, because Karen says that all criminals in column B are connected. And it could be that Wally is an innocent and Ruby is a criminal. But in every situation, Ruby has to be a criminal because it can't be that both Ruby and Wally are innocents. Otherwise, Vince and Eric will both have one criminal neighbor only. So that makes Ruby a criminal. We don't know about Wally yet. But now we know about Maria, because all criminals in column B have to be connected, so that means that Maria has to be a criminal as well. Now Maria tells us there's an odd number of instances in column C. That's interesting because, again, Zayed is in a corner, and they couldn't have only one criminal neighbor, right? So they would have to have at least 2. Could both Sophia and Xavier be criminals? They could if Nancy were a criminal as well, because that will make an odd number of instances in column C. Could both of them be innocents? No, they couldn't, because then Zayed wouldn't have enough people to make one criminal unless Thor is also an innocent. That could happen. The clue is not telling us that a person in a corner doesn't have 0 criminal neighbors. So this could happen. But in any case, either these two are criminals, or can only one of them be a criminal and the other one an innocent? They can if Thor is a criminal and Nancy is an innocent. So how does that work? Because now there's an odd number of innocents in column C, and Zayed has 2 criminal neighbors. Forgot about Maria. Maria only has 1 more innocent neighbor, and that person has to be either Nancy or Sophia. The other one has to be a criminal. So we know that there's 1 innocent here and a criminal person. So that makes Isaac and whoever is innocent here 2 innocents in column C. And that can't be. That's an even number. So Xavier has to be an innocent as well. And now we know that either Zayed has 3 innocents or 2 criminals. Xavier now tells us there are exactly 2 innocents in row 4. Well, now we know that Zayed has 2 innocent neighbors in row 4 and 3 innocents total. That was good. That makes Nancy a criminal as well. Sophia now tells us there's an equal number of criminals in rows 3 and 4. We know that row 4 has 3 criminals, 2 criminals, sorry, and 2 innocents. So row 3 has to have 2 innocents as well. That means that Ollie is innocent. Now Ollie tells us that there are more criminals in row 1 than row 3. Row 3 has 2 criminals, we just said that. So that means that row 1 has to have more than that, which means that Eric is a criminal. We don't need Ollie's clue anymore now. Eric tells us there are exactly 3 innocents in column D. Those 3 are already revealed, so that makes Zayed a criminal. And Zayed tells us that only 1 person in a corner has exactly 2 criminal neighbors. Who's that person? It has to be Vance. There's no other people who could... Oh, that's Alice. It's good that I rescan after I say my hunch. Yeah, it has to be Alice because Alice can't have any more neighbors revealed. All of them are already. And there's 2 criminals neighboring her. So that makes so that Vance couldn't have 2 as well. So he has to have 3. Wally has to be a criminal then. And now Wally tells us that only 1 row has exactly 3 criminals. 3 criminals. Row. I was thinking about columns. Well, that row is row 1, so that makes it so that row 5 couldn't have 3. That makes Vance an innocent, and we are done. Good. Very nice. Tricky one in less than 8 minutes. I'm catching back up with my solves, and I'm pretty proud of this. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you did play, how it went for you, and I'll see you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Bye bye.